Okay.
Hello, and welcome to the final webinar in our spring series where we have Jessica from Sage, who's going to give us a wonderful demo of their research methods platform. It is a database available through the UDC library, and it's a pretty powerful tool, which is why we're holding this webinar today. My name is Megan Kolsky. I am the Outreach and Reference Librarian, and I am here today to just keep my eye on the chat and handle things like that. We will have time for questions, both recorded and unrecorded, but please feel free to drop them in the chat at any time. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video and hand things off to Jessica. Thank you, Jessica.
Okay, thanks, Megan. And thanks everybody for joining us. Just to reintroduce myself really quickly, my name is Jessica Gradetzi. I work with the engagement team here at Sage. So essentially we're the team responsible for working with libraries and faculty and students and how to use our resources and make sure they can get the most out of them. And like Megan said, we're going to be reviewing Sage research methods, the resource and the platform. And I kind of have two main objectives. The first of which is to share or hopefully spark some ideas of how this content can be used, no matter the discipline that you're a part of or the type of research that you're doing, and also how this supplementary content can be implemented in instruction. And my other goal is really to impart that the content within this database is not just for research methods courses, despite what the name may lead you to think. The content within this database can be useful in so many different contexts and so many different courses across the curricula. So I expect that my portion should take about 45 to 50 minutes. But like Megan said, feel free to pop those questions in the chat box, and then we'll also have some time at the end. So if you are following along on your own screen, I just want to quickly point out how you can access this from your own library site. So from the library homepage, you'll head over to this link underneath the search box, the A to Z resource list. And you're going to go ahead and go to S for Sage. And you'll see a couple Sage resources at the top here. We're going to be looking at Sage research methods today. So, pardon me, I am recovering from a cold. So, if I cough in your ear, I apologize. And also, I might go on mute to cough. So, if you hear an awkward silence, that's why. So, if you do plan to follow along with me, I'll invite you to click on this link up here and you'll land on a page that looks like this once it loads. I'll give that a second there. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what Sage Research Methods is. It's a database comprised of content all focused on research methods and how to do research, but also more than just research, so many different skills and things that you need to do just in doing academic work. So you'll find books and reference content, there's academic video, there's cases, practice data sets, also different tools that are built into the platform, all with the purpose of helping from novice researchers all the way through to advanced publishing researchers, just with every step of the research process. So before we dive into the content, I'll just give you a quick overview of the homepage here, just so we have a lay of the land. So this is the home page, and if we scroll down a little bit, you'll see these many different entry points to the different content types or modules that are available within this database. So if we click on any of these tiles, it will take us to the home page for that particular content type. Now, for the sake of time today, I've gone ahead and opened up a bunch of tabs. Pardon me. So that's how I'll be navigating. But before we continue on, let's take a look at what else we can see from here on the home page. So prominent at the top is, of course, your keyword search and with a link to your advanced search page. And then we have a couple of drop-down menus at the top here. So we can choose to browse by discipline. I will say that these are, I would say, the most popular disciplines. This is not an exhaustive list. So if you don't see something here, that doesn't mean there's not content within this database to support that discipline. So it's definitely still worth checking out or trying to find something that would be relevant. We can also browse by content type as well as by topic. And then the tools dropdown is where we can easily navigate to all of these different tools. And I will be going into these in more detail later on. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start in the profile, which you will see a link to access your profile in this upper right-hand corner. You can see I'm already logged in here, but I do want to talk about what this function is really quickly. This is just the profile is a really powerful tool, especially these days, when so many classes are either online or hybrid, or that supplementary content needs to be available in a digital space. The profile is really suited perfectly for those needs. So this is my profile. It really allows you to do two main things. One is to be able to create lists of content, and the other is to save searches. So I'll go ahead and show you what these are. These are my lists. As you can see over time, I've put together quite a few of them, but I just want to open one up here so I can show you how functional these are. So I'm just going to open up this one on writing, planning, and managing a dissertation that I put together a few weeks ago. So this is the list. What I love about these is just how functional they are. So any list you create is embeddable. So if you have anywhere where you can embed content, edit the HTML, you can quickly grab that code and be able to embed this list. Or if you just prefer to share via permalink, the permalink is available as well. If you're working with somebody, a research partner or your supervisor, or you're liaising with somebody in the library or with the faculty, you can easily share this list via email. And just in support of accessibility, we can also change the text size. We can make it larger or smaller. What I love for the researchers is we can export all of our references at once. So really efficient. You can see I have 15 different pieces of content in here, but I can really quickly get all of these citations to my reference manager just by choosing it from this dropdown and then hitting export. So those are the lists. That's how they function. Just what they are is a way for you to curate content and then be able to share that content. So if you're building out a research guide, if you're just collecting content for a course so you can share it with your students, or if you are a student and you're working on a project and you want to be able to quickly access this content that you're finding, then those are all good use cases to start a list. And then the second thing I mentioned a profile can do for you, let me just go ahead back there, is we have the ability to save searches. So that allows you to save if you have common searches or favorite searches or searches with a lot of parameters. Maybe you do a search, but then you have to go pick up your kid from daycare, or you need to leave the library for whatever reason. You can save that search to be able to return to those search results again. Or if you want to share search results with other people, that's another good reason to save search results, because then you can grab that URL and you can share it, post it. So, pardon me. So some very useful functionality here in the profile. If you don't have one, I definitely recommend creating one. You can easily use your school email address, whatever password you choose. And then I'm not sure how alumni access works at your school, but SRM does allow for alumni access. So if you're interested in that or want to know more about that, you can definitely ask your librarian, probably in this case, Megan, about that as well. Now, I do want to be clear, by the way, you do not have to have a profile in order to access the content within this platform. The profile just allows you to use those extra features like creating and saving lists of content and saving searches. So that being said, let's go ahead and follow one of these saved searches here, and we'll go to the search results page. And like I mentioned, by the way, you can just grab the URL at the top. If you want to share these results with other people, you can copy and paste this, post it. If they click on that link, they'll return right to those same search results as the ones that you saved. Okay, now since we are on the search results page, I'll go ahead and give you a quick tour of what we're looking at here. So of course, our top bar contains our search parameters, the number of results, different ways to organize our results as well. And I just want to highlight this really quickly because we just added these two new options. So of course we have what you would expect. So sort by relevancy, alphabetically, or by date. But we can also now sort by most popular over the last 12 months and the most popular of all time as well. And then a couple more things I want to call out on the search results page. So you have your quick filter box over here on the left-hand side. From here, we can filter by content, and you can see that you can continue to expand these to view other options. We can also filter by discipline, by product, and by publication date. Then the last thing you can do is you can also enter an additional search term to search across your results as well. And then a couple more things I want to call out here. So we can actually add content to a list directly from the search results page. So you'll notice this add to list, the little heart icon on the right-hand side of the search result. Click on that. It'll bring up this window where we can either choose one of our existing lists from the dropdown, or we can start a new list. And all that's required to start a new list is to give it a name, click save, and then that'll be saved to your profile. I'll also point out this little private or public option that you can choose, just so I can explain what that means really quickly. So when your list is public, that means that it is shareable, other people can view it, and it's also discoverable by other users on the platform. And when it is private, that means that it's not shareable and other people cannot discover it on the platform. And that is, based purely on your preference. Do you intend to share this list with other people and you don't mind other people looking at it, or do you just want to save it for yourself? So, totally your choice. But that's what that means. Okay. The last thing I want to point out from the search results page is how to actually save a search. So once you have the results you want to save, you'll see this save search button at the top. It's super simple. Just give your search a name, click save, and then that'll be saved to your profile. Okay, let's go ahead and head back to the home page here and we'll take a look at some of the books and reference content. And I'm going to just go ahead and click on the books and reference tile on the home page here. So this database includes, I believe it's over 1,100 books at this point. There's reference works, collection of journal articles, monographs, and also I want to make sure to point out, you may recognize these, the little green books and little blue books. The little greens is all about quantitative research methods. Little blues is all about qualitative research methods. And the reason I like to point this out is because Sage Research Methods is the only place where these book series are available in a digital format. And if you have faculty or researchers who are still purchasing the hard copies of these, they actually do have the digital access to these via this SRM database. So I always like to point that out because sometimes faculty don't know that they are available here, but they are. Okay. And I know that we're all familiar with ebooks, but I did want to make sure to bring one up because there's a few details I want to go over. I have a book open here, so we can go over that really quickly. Right now, we're looking at this book. This happens to be on developing a mixed methods research proposal. And at the top under the title is all this great metadata that is hyperlinked, which just makes it really easy for users to click on these terms, find relevant related content, continue that research journey. And just under there, we can see it defaults to the contents tab, from which, of course, we can navigate to all these different sections and chapters within this book. And also each chapter has its own landing page. So I do want to go ahead and just open one up here. And you can see we're viewing a chapter within this book. What I want to show you from here is we can actually toggle on and off the physical page numbers, which of course is so useful for our references and citations. And the other thing I want to mention about book content is there are no restrictions on simultaneous users, which I think just really speaks to Sage's commitment to access and integration. And then I'd also like to take a moment to point out this series of buttons that you'll see at the top, the upper right-hand corner of the content page. So these are functions that you'll find on all of the content within this database. So for example, I can add this chapter to a list. I can get the permalink to this chapter. I can get the citation and choose whatever format that I'd like. I can share it via email, increase or decrease the text size. I can get the embed code. And in this case, I can also, I actually didn't mean to open that, sorry. I can also download this chapter as a PDF. Okay, so that's the books and reference content. We do have a lot of more content to talk about, so we're going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to head back to the home page, and then we can go ahead and explore I think we'll do the video content. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning, one of my goals was to show how this content can be applicable in more than just research methods courses. For this example, I'm thinking of a course that's offered at many schools, and that is something like a business intelligence for marketing course. It's essentially about making data-driven decisions, and it includes things like data collection and analysis. So with that type of course in mind, I'd like to spend a little bit of time exploring the video content. So from here, we can see we can browse the video by discipline. We can also browse by method and by video type. And I just want to pause here really quickly. So these different options are meant to help just meet a variety of teaching and learning and research needs. So from undergrads to grad level. So for example, faculty may want to embed like a short definition in their LMS, or maybe for a flipped classroom approach, they can assign a case study video for that in-class discussion. Postgrads and researchers, they may want refreshers on key topics from experts in the field, or they can view a panel discussion or interviews, or they can access tutorials that can help a student really contextualize and understand how to do certain tasks. And so this variety of content types really helps keep the content useful to everybody on campus. So that in this way, we can browse by these different video types. The next tab is all the different video collections that are available within this platform. So now with that business intelligence for marketing course in mind, I can quickly see I have a lot of avenues to explore here. I can check out the business video collection, the big data analytics, market research, data visualization, but for now, I'm just going to pull up one of my saved searches that I have open here. And this is for a series of videos called, the series is an introduction to data mining. And each of these videos is between like 10 to 15 minutes each. I could use these in that flipped classroom approach. I could assign these in the beginning of a section to introduce the concept of data mining and give my students just this additional avenue for learning before we dig into a lecture or to help supplement that lecture. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on one so we can talk about some of the functionality here. So in this particular video, this is Dr. Nima Zahadat. He's a professor of digital forensics and data science at George Washington University. Pardon me. And he's just introducing the concept of business intelligence or data mining. And he includes things like examples of data mining, descriptive and predictive data mining techniques, and also kind of common data mining tasks. But what I really want to point out here while I'm on this video page is some of the functionality that I think will be most useful to instructors and users. So first of all, one of my favorite functions is that you can actually create custom video clips. So you can see, let me play this video a little bit so we can see more information. So this is over a 10-minute long video, perhaps too long to show in class or for a presentation. But if there's a section of this video that I do want to integrate, then I can actually create a custom clip. So this is a function that you do as a user have to have a profile in order to take advantage of. But once you do have a profile, then you can create this clip. You can save it to your profile. You can get the embed code or the permalink to that custom clip you just created, and then continue to use it whether in your presentations or to link in a research guide or in your LMS or anything like that. All of our videos come with closed captioning as well as the transcript that is also downloadable as a PDF. What's really nice about this transcript is it will also highlight the text as the speaker is speaking, and it will kind of follow along with the video as it plays. And then another thing I like to point out is we also have our video quick keys linked right underneath the video as well, so easily accessible from there. And then you'll see these tabs underneath the video that has some additional information. So of course, if the video is long enough, it will be made up of multiple chapters. So you can easily see what are all the different subjects within the video. And you can also navigate to that part of the video from here. We can, of course, view our nice quick summary just to make sure we know what the video is about. And then the video info will have some additional information as well. So from here, we can see if it is part of a series, what that series is, and we can click on this to go see the rest of the video in that series. And then, of course, like always, we'll have our methods and our keywords hyperlinked from here as well. Okay, so that is the video content. Let's see, let's go back to the video homepage. There's just one other thing I want to be sure to mention. Now, in my experience, just in working with so many universities, something that I see a lot is some type of writing course requirement, whether that's for first year students or just for students to complete during their time at the university. Something usually focused on writing in academic and public spaces or writing for research. Now, I was an English major myself, so I just love to include the English department and the humanities in unexpected spaces, like this database on research methods. So that being said, I like to use this example just to point out that really anybody across the university can find something of relevance here within this database. And what I'm talking about in particular is this practical research and academic skills video collection, which you guys do have access to. I adore this collection. It has so much amazing content in it. I really encourage you to explore this collection. This includes things like there's an entire series of videos called the Essay Writing Kit. If you have students who need help understanding or getting better at increasing their writing skills, there's core skills for new researchers, for your novice researchers. There's videos on critical thinking. There's a series on presentation skills, on data literacy. There's just a really wide range of content and skills that are students newer to the college level academics or people who just need support with that kind of skill building. So I love this collection. Just want to make sure to highlight that for you. Pardon me. Okay, let's keep moving along and let's go ahead and talk about data sets. So I'll click into there so we can go to the data sets homepage. So the data sets in this platform are a collection of teaching and practice data sets that are coupled with these instructional guides that give students a chance to learn data analysis through practice. So the data sets in here are cleaned and harmonized, and they're indexed by method and data type. Oh, these tabs are not loading. Okay, that's a bug. You should be seeing more here, so I'm going to write that down so I can make sure to report that to the product team. Apologies for that. Okay, so like I said, the data sets in here are cleaned and harmonized, indexed by method and data type, and they're really optimal for use in the classroom. And I also get a lot of feedback from faculty that they love to use them for exams. It's a huge time saver for them to not have to source and clean their own data. And then each data set demonstrates a particular method, and the accompanying guide is meant to walk the student through how to do that type of analysis. And also the quantitative data sets are also accompanied by software guides for software like SPSS, R, Stata, Python, as well as a lot of other software types. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a couple of data sets, which I do have open here. I'm actually going to show you a couple of different ones. So we're going to start with this qualitative data set, which is designed for teaching the analysis of images. So under the title, we can quickly see the applicable disciplines, methods, data types, keywords, and then you'll see we have these 4 tabs. So every data set comes with a summary telling us what we'll learn from this data set. So in this case, we can see this one focuses on systemizing the process of iconology and iconography research by drawing on Edwin Panofsky's 3 levels of analysis. So that's what we're doing. This next tab is the data set itself. This is where we can preview and download the data set. And so this is the data that we will be analyzing. The next tab over are the guides. The first one is meant for faculty, and this is just meant to provide suggestions really on how the data set could be used in lab exercises, in assignments or exam questions. And then the next guide is the one that's actually for the student. This introduces the method, this guides the student through how to do this type of analysis. And also, all of these guides, by the way, are embeddable, shareable, and also downloadable as PDFs. And then this last tab, this data set info, this is the information about the originating data used in this practice data set. And then I have another data set open here because I want to be able to show you an example of a quantitative data set because there are some differences. Now, this one is designed for teaching cross tabulation. And the first difference is, of course, the data itself. So instead of images like we saw in the previous data set, now you see we have the option to download this data in these different file formats. So it is compatible with most common software packages. And you can also view and download the code book from here as well. A code book will be provided where anyone is necessary. And then the other difference I want to point out is, like I mentioned, the quantitative data sets also come with a how-to guide. And this shows how to perform the technique or the test using that data analysis software. And so this one is specific to SPSS. But like I said, we also have data sets with guides for lots of other type of software too. Okay, so those are the data sets. Let's go ahead and move on to cases. So I'm going to head back to the home page and over to the cases portal here. So what are these cases? Cases are essentially stories of how real research projects have been conducted. And these cases are written by the researchers themselves about their own research and their process. So they're a really amazing way to gain a deeper understanding of what does the experience of research actually look like and what are the type of decisions that you have to make. So researchers explain things like why they chose the methods they did, how they overcame problems in their research, what they might have done differently, and of course, what was successful. And they are peer reviewed. Each case also comes with learning objectives and discussion questions. So they're a really flexible tool. They can be used as teaching and learning tools in the classroom or as assignments. And I do have one open here. So let's check it out. So as you can see, this particular case has to do with incorporating undergrad researchers into collaborative knowledge production. And what I love about this case is not only does it have applications for guiding faculty and grad students on incorporating undergrads into their research, but it also helps the undergrad students really understand their role when they are involved in something like field work. So there are certain sections that are included in all cases. So all cases have abstracts explaining what the case study is about. All cases have learning outcomes explaining what the students will actually learn or get out of reading this case. And then all cases also have exercises and discussion questions. And then the middle sections, of course, differ depending on what that particular research project was and what the researcher chose to write about. So in this case, we can see how this researcher planned her research design. She writes about the value of incorporating students into her field research, how her students engaged with collaborative knowledge production, and also the value of reflection to create that active learning environment for her students while they also take part and gain experience in field research. And I'll just navigate to these discussion questions really quickly. So answers are not provided for these, but these can be used in assignments, classroom discussions, or you can base online forum discussion prompts on these questions. I know that's a really popular kind of task or assignment in online courses. So overall, they provide just a very flexible tool to help learners engage and reflect more deeply with the case content. And I also want to show you, you also have access to the medicine and health cases, which are, oops, I meant to go to the home page. They're also accessible from a different tile on the home page. So if you go back to the home page, we're going to scroll down a little bit. You'll see the medicine and health portal page. So I'm going to click on there. And from here, we can browse these cases as well. Or if we click on collections, you can see all the medicine and health cases or all the medicine and health video. So that's one way to browse to this content. I do have one. Oops, I need to hide my meeting controls really quickly. Give me a second here. Okay, we're going to head over to the next tab. I did bring up a medicine and health case just so we can check it out really quickly. Um, so the medicine and health cases, they're still focused on research design and methods application, but they do include an additional feature, which are the interactive multiple choice test questions, which from what I understand is a really kind of popular and common thing to integrate with medicine and health content. So these cases do cover like primary clinical and epidemiological research, interventional and observational, as well as systematic review and meta-analysis. Um, and as you can see, this particular case has to do with applying ethical principles to enrolling adults with cognitive impairment in research. So we're going to read about the barriers to enrolling these adults in research. We'll read about what the Belmont report is and the three main principles, and we'll learn about strategies for enrolling these subjects in research. And similar to the case we saw before, all medicine and health cases do come with classroom discussion questions, but I did want to go ahead and click on this so I can show this to you really quickly. Um, and again, this is just meant as another way for users to kind of get that instant feedback on their understanding of the content that they've read within this case. Okay, so those are the cases. Let's go back to the home page and we'll head on over to, let's do foundations. Click on there really quickly. So foundations, you can essentially think of this as a reference resource. It is, I'll give that a second to load here. I think my internet has slowed down a little bit. But essentially what this is a series of entries and short essays on key concepts within, the research methods field. And there's also biographical entries on key scholars with an emphasis on those traditionally underrepresented scholars like female scholars and people of color. So the way I like to think of foundations is it's a really great entry point, of course, for novice researchers, also for experienced researchers who are maybe embarking on a new type of method or a new type of research. And it really gives them a solid introduction to the context around a particular method or a research concept. And then, once the user understands the concept and the context of a method, that will then help them take that deeper dive into the rest of the content within that database or within that field. So let's check out an entry here. I do have one open. And since we were looking at some art earlier in one of our data sets, I just opened up this entry on arts-based research. So the entries are organized into series. So we are looking at the participatory and arts-based research series. From here, we can navigate to all of the different entries within this series. And also we can view our entry itself. So what I also love to point out about these entries, and please excuse my scrolling, is of course we have the introduction to this method, but what I love is the further readings and references. These are just absolute gold for anybody embarking to this, in this case, arts-based research or any of the other methods included in foundations. This is a really excellent resource for users to really expand their research into the literature on these topics. So really, really useful for anybody who's new to the literature on any of these methods. Okay, so that has foundations, simple in concept, but some really excellent content in here. Um, really good coverage of research methods and concepts. So let's head back to the home page and we'll start to talk about some of the multimedia modules. So let's talk about data visualization. So this is meant to teach both beginner and advanced researchers just the fundamentals of creating impactful visualizations. And this is taught through a series of, we have video tutorials, we have explanations of chart types, we have practice data sets, as well as analysis from experts in the field, and then we also have a tools directory. So let's go ahead and jump into these. I'm going to start with the chart gallery. So this is introductions to the most commonly used charts, and they are grouped by chart family, as you can see from these tabs at the top. I'll go ahead and click into one so we can check it out. I'll do area cartogram. And they just include things like a chart description, presentation tips, common variations or alternatives, and essentially, why you might want to use this chart type and the type of data that you should have in order to use this chart. So this is just designed to help users find the most effective way to present their data. And I would say it also really helps kind of broaden the view of available options, especially to novice chart creators who maybe haven't seen a very wide variety of chart types before. Okay, and let's talk about the data sets that are available in this module, the data viz module. So the data sets in here are specifically created for data visualization. They're meant to teach the user how to create different types of visualizations. So the guides that they come with are all guides on R and Python and QGIS and Excel, different visualization tools, and it walks the student through how to create these visualizations using that software. So the reason I'm showing you a search results page instead of an actual data set is because one, we already saw what data sets look like. They look and function exactly the same, but also because I want to show you a really cool filter option. So I'm going to just direct your attention to the quick filter box over here on the left. And if we click on content and then expand data sets, you'll see all these different ways that we can filter the data sets. So of course, like I mentioned, we can filter for quantitative, we can filter for qualitative. But what I want to show you is that we can also filter by software guide. So if you know in your course you're going to be using Python or QGIS or whatever it is, you can come in here, filter down for the guide that's most relevant to you, and then you can really tighten up your results to be more relevant. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next tab and we can talk about the video content. So the video content in here, this includes like case studies and tutorials teaching essentially the foundations of good visual design. And there's presentations from visualization experts. So we'll find topics like designing for your audience, having an awareness of racial equity in your designs. There's things like storytelling with big data, and also how to do visualizations for qualitative data. And it includes a lot of in-depth tutorials, on working with Python and also other software, how to produce data visualizations. So some really cool video content in here. Okay, and then those expert insights that are kind of expert analysis that I mentioned before, these are really fun. These are articles written by Andy Kirk. He's an expert on data visualization and is an author that Sage has a long-standing relationship with. So after conversations that he has with high-profile data scientists on one of their most effective visualizations, Andy then picks out 5 of his key insights. And so in this case, for this one, he talks about the impact of the visualization on the wider community. He talks about the hidden work of finding the data for the visualization, the use of log scales, how the author used narrative to guide his audience in understanding the visualization, and also discussing how geographical data does not always lead to mapping. So that's the type of visualization analysis that you'll find within these expert insights. And then we also have the tools directory. So this is essentially just an introduction to the many data visualization tools that are available. So things like Flourish and Data Wrapper and like Power BI, the Google suite of products. And these include information. Let me just open this up really quick. These are just meant to include information like, is it free or not? Is it a desktop application or web-based? Is it open or closed source? And it includes links to the homepage for quick access as well. Okay, we'll head on over to another module you have access to. and that is doing research online. This is another multimedia module. It's just meant to prepare users to conduct research projects completely online. And it also has information on the latest and greatest digital research methods. So within here, we can look at cases of these types of studies. There's video content, dataset content, and there's also a new content type called how-to guides. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But first, I did open a few pieces of content from this module just so we can see, get an idea of the type of content that is offered here. So first, I brought up a case. This is the challenges and rewards of using online state and local election results in your research. So this case shows how to find state and local election results online, helps the reader understand the challenges and benefits of conducting this type of research online, and also helps the reader understand how to choose to organize their data. Another example from this module is the video. This is Professor Martin Hilbert. He discusses the major characteristics of big data. He also talks about some real world examples using big data that in this case improved food production and productivity. So just a great overall introduction to big data here. This example data set I have open, this demonstrates a thematic analysis approach to analyzing newspaper articles from an online database. So particularly of interest to those instructors who are teaching or students who are learning coding and media thematic analysis. And then finally, we have those how-to guides. These are meant to be very practical guides on how to accomplish particular tasks within research. So this is a search results page of all these different how-to guides, just so you can see the type of content that is offered. So things like how to select appropriate online methodologies, how to conduct narrative inquiry research online, how to use geofencing in mobile research. There's also one, how to understand digital literacy and so on. And I think I actually have that one open. Yeah, I do. So let's check it out. So I did want to go ahead and pull this one up just so we can see what these look like. Just going to scroll a little bit here so we can see the learning outcomes and the navigation box over here. So you can see this is a quite thorough and practical treatment of digital literacy, also in this case using accessible methods. And the guide will explain essentially why this matters in research, and it gives guidance on how to consider these things during all stages of research. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the tools that are built into this platform. Like I mentioned, if you go up to this navigation bar at the top, you'll see the tools drop down. That's how we access these. So let's go ahead and jump into the methods map. So what the methods map does is it gives users this great visual understanding of how different research methods and different terms relate to one another, how they connect. So how it works is whatever term you click on, I'm just going to go ahead and click on research design. That will become your center bubble. And the box above our bubble has a nice succinct definition as well as a link to content related to that term. And then what you can do from here is we can view all of the narrower terms. So this is essentially everything that falls underneath the umbrella of, in this case, research design. And we can continue to explore from here. So you can click on terms, you can get your definition, you can see what falls underneath the umbrella of behavioral research in this case, or behavior change methods. We can view related terms, so things that are related but don't necessarily fall underneath the same umbrella, and you can kind of explore how things relate to one another in that way. Also, another really nice thing is if you decide, you know what, I cannot figure out how to navigate these dang bubbles, you can view your recent history, get back to previous terms by clicking on your little breadcrumb trail down here. And another useful function is it is searchable. So if you are a student and you hear your professor throw around some term in class, maybe you can come in here, search for it, and you can learn a little bit about it, get your definition, see what's included in that method, and you can explore in that way as well. Or I also have a lot of professors who like to kind of supply this as an assignment. They post a link to this, like ethnography, for example. This is a stable URL for every term, so you can easily grab the URL, post it in your LMS, tell them, go explore ethnography, follow, choose a couple of terms that fall underneath that umbrella and explore those. And they can kind of ask their students to explore these terms and how they relate to each other in that way. Okay, so that's the methods map. Let's go ahead and continue on to the project planner. So, the project planner is a tool that just provides a step by step guide through each stage of the research process. And as we know, as instructors, the research process can be sort of overwhelming, not only to the students who are learning it, but for those instructors who are responsible for trying to teach this process to so many students at different levels. So, this tool is a really excellent resource for instructors to be able to send students and for students to come explore and learn more about the research process. So the project planner has this great visual on the left with all of these stages of research. It starts from the beginning, the philosophy of research, why we do it, all the way through all these different stages, through research design, data collection, writing up and disseminating your research. And it's not locked. So you can click into any stage that you'd like. So whether you want to start from the beginning and work your way through, or you can just go to the stage that's most relevant to you. So I've just opened up a research design. Once you do make a selection, then you have this collection of tabs that open up in the middle. It always starts with an introduction, so we'll have really clear learning outcomes about what we're going to get from reading through this stage. And then we have a series of tabs that open up with a series of questions that are answered in different ways. So these can be answered with links to additional content. These could be answered with short essays, uh, with embedded video from experts in the field. And often, most stages will end with a checklist. So, in this case, for our current stage, which is research design, we have a questions to ask when deciding on a method. This is just a really excellent way for students and researchers to kind of interrogate their own work, or is a good assignment or way that instructors can kind of set up their students for success. Each of these tabs is savable, shareable, embeddable, or you can also do the same thing with the entire stage. So you can access those functions at the top as well if you want to do it for the entire stage. Okay, let's move on to the which stats test. This one's pretty fun. It's like a little quiz. So the purpose of this quiz is to help the user determine the proper stats test for the type of data that they're working with. So it's a quick series of questions. I'm just going to answer these randomly so we can get to the end here. You'll see each question comes with a nice little help prompt. So if the user doesn't know how to answer those questions, whatever information is linked here, if they go read that, that should be able to help them answer this question. And then you'll see at the end, based on my answers, the test that seems the most appropriate is, in this case, the multinomial logic regression. This links to an encyclopedia entry about this test. So I can follow this to go learn about this test, how it works, what it is. And then you'll see these links here. These are links to data sets that would be appropriate to use to practice this type of test. So that is the which stats test. I just have a couple more things I want to be sure to point out here. So let's actually go ahead and scroll down all the way to the bottom. And I want to call your attention to this information for, and we'll go ahead and start with faculty. So what you can find here if you're a faculty member, are things like sample assignments. Maybe you need a little inspiration or you would like to see how other people have used this resource in assignments. You can view some samples here. There's also faculty specific user guides and tips and FAQs, and also some more information about adding SRM to your course using LTI. I did forget to mention that in the beginning, but SRM does support LTI. And if you have any more questions about that or how that works, please feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to send you more information about that. And then you can see we also have, how to use SRM in common courses and stuff like that. There's also some great information in the librarians page. This is where we can get things like title lists in Excel format. There's user guides and just some additional information on SRM here, mostly specific to what librarians would be interested in, but also I think some useful stuff for faculty and students as well, like the user guides and stuff like that. Okay, so that is, I know that probably felt like a whirlwind, but that is everything I intended to show you. Megan, are there any questions that I can help follow up on or answer from the chat box?
So we have no questions in the chat right now. We'll give people a few seconds to type them in if they have any. I do want to thank you for that wonderful tour. I know there are so many features in here that we're always telling faculty about, particularly the project planner. I
Yes.
do know one question we've had in the past is it possible to embed the videos in Blackboard?
Yes. So all of the content in here supports being embedded. So you can grab the embed code directly from the content page. Let me open up some content. I think I navigated away from everything. So this isn't a video, but these same function buttons exist on every content page, and you'll see one of the options is embed. So they can grab this embed code and be able to embed that video.
Great, thank you. All
Yeah.
right, I'm not seeing any questions come in, but we do have a thank you. It says that this presentation was really useful and they didn't realize just quite how much content was available. I know it always seems like when I go in and explore, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm so glad to hear that.
Right. So I'm not seeing any questions come in. So I do want to say thank you for today. And I'm going to stop the recording just so we have time for any unrecorded questions if people would prefer that.